Hey, I'm John Bollinger with Premier Guitar. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee at the City Winery with Daniel Lanois just a few hours before your show. Daniel, thanks so much for joining us.
Brother, yeah, nice to see you.
Man, I'm a huge fan. I'm just thrilled you're here and going to talk about your rig, the mysteries of it all.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't seem that mysterious, it's kind of like a simple rig. It's like...
It's a very simple rig. It's a standard Sho-Bud. I have, this is a Lloyd Green, so it was always a single neck, but built in a double neck body.
Okay.
So I have two of these, and then I have a few Pros as well, Pro 1s rather. They're the same as this, but just without the extended body.
Sure.
The Lloyd Greens are a little creamier sounding than the Pro 1s, but the Pro 1s are also, you know, for the lack of another term, a little more Telecaster-like.
Huh.
I dropped these George L's in my steels because even though I like the single coils that come with the guitar, you know, sometimes there's a magnetic field problem, a lot of buzzing in a club, and so I'm happy to have this kind of a pickup because it eliminates that problem. I use a technique whereby I turn my rig up quite loud and I play lightly. So that's another good reason to use the humbucker. So I'll give you a little bit of an example here.
Sure.
You know, if you remember back Jimi Hendrix, Foxy Lady.
Yeah.
Foxy Lady. Coming to get you. There's that shimmer that he does.
Yeah.
So I use this kind of shimmer technique. I'll let you hear, which is so I do very little with the right hand for the. Within that, I can touch some strings lightly to accentuate some notes of the chord, like. As you can see, there is very little right-hand technique.
Yeah, and you're using that Morley volume pedal just to kind of...
Exactly, so the Morley's got quite a curve on it. I can go from this to full volume. I like the Morley because it has an optic sensor in it.
Oh.
So it's not a potentiometer, so I don't get any crackles.
Oh.
Which I really like. So that's the basis of the sound. It's a standard E9 tuning, but I've modified the bottom, the second from the bottom string, so that when I bring the fifth up to a 6, the next open string is a unison. Oh. So I can play melodies on the bottom. So I get this kind of a 12-string sound on the bottom.
Oh, that's
and
so
then
cool.
The next two strings, I tune them in unison as well. So I get this, first unison, and then the next one.
Oh, cool.
So that's the main difference. The top two strings, I change the tuning of depending on the song. Right now it's standard tuning, so I get this. Sometimes I'll go as far as tuning the top three strings in unison. So down, down, down.
Wow.
So depending on the tune. So that's kind of it, which makes it a little less classic sounding. So I avoid the ninth, essentially the ninth and the sixth, and I appreciate those kind of chords in the old Texas swing. But I don't play Texas swing. I'm more hymn-like, more like Irish hymns or church hymns.
Yeah, it's you know it's so interesting hearing your steel playing because your guitar playing is so unusual and it's just got these great textures, and your steel playing kind of fits that same sonic, expressive place. And so just to show your signal change, you're plugging your steel and your guitar into the same
Yes,
rig.
I use the steel goes to the Morley pedal as we talked about, and then I patch into this Korg SDD3000, which was introduced to me in Ireland when I worked with the Edge and U2.
Huh.
He had this rig already.
How long ago was that? How long ago did you?
Well, I've been using this since 1980, about 83.
Wow.
And I forget when they were invented. I think they might have been around since 79. So I've got about a 500 millisecond delay. I'll let you hear it. See.
Oh yeah.
And then I can change the regen a little bit. If that's too much, I just back down the regen. Then I can add a VCO in it, which gives it a little wobble. I'll exaggerate for a minute. See.
Oh, cool.
And then I just find the sweet spot where it's more like a human voice.
Sure.
Now this particular unit has two outputs, has a dry output and a wet output. So at the moment the Vox is seeing my dry signal.
And what year is this?
It's one of those bronze top ones. I think it's a 63.
Huh.
63 Vox. Let's see what speakers I got in there. Yeah, that's got the stock blue speakers, but sometimes I'll run they make a gray speaker from the same era that sounds a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I have a friend who runs a blue one and a gray one and will mic one or the other depending on the sound that he wants. So,
sure.
So the fact that this thing has two outputs means that Alex, the sound engineer, can he mics each amp, and then he can season to taste for the house. So if it's a very swimmy sounding place, then he doesn't use so much of the echo amp. And if it's a dry place, then he brings in the wet one.
So in the 2 amps, so between the AC30 and is that a old 50s deluxe?
Yeah, that's a Fender Tweed Deluxe, late 50s. And why don't you look back there, see what speaker I got in there.
Let's see. Looks like.
Is it a Fender speaker?
Yeah, it's one of those kind of nondescript little square magnets.
Yeah. I think that's a stock speaker without the cap on the back.
Yeah. Okay, so the deluxe you've got right now, you have a looks like an old school stock.
Yeah, it's a stock Fender speaker in there at the moment. But in some of my other ones, I drop a Vox speaker, one of these, and then that can handle a lot more volume and produces a lot more bass. So if I find that my speaker's just crapping out too early, and then I drop a Vox in it, and that gives me easily twice the headroom.
Oh, really?
So that's a little trick there. That's pretty good to remember.
That's great. And it looks like you're running it you're running it about half volume, it looks like?
Yeah, I'm running half volume, but that relates to which output you use on the Korg, because the Korg has a flexible output here, which you can run from standard guitar volume all the way up to +4, which is studio volume.
Oh, okay.
And obviously if you go +4, you're overdriving the amp a lot harder. So at the moment I'm in the center position, so I'm up a little harder than guitar output, which gives me just a little more girth.
Sure. So the deluxe is the wet signal.
Yeah.
And the AC30 is dry.
That's right. Yeah.
And then your front of house engineer just
Blends
seasons
the
to
two.
taste.
Exactly. And
wow, it's amazing because in hearing it in the room, it sounds like a stereo image. It sounds just huge, but
yeah, it's quite a sound. And there's a sound that I enjoy with this, which I call the raindrop sound, where if I can turn it up a little bit more, and I play very light up here, So you can hear the amount of dynamic that I have available to me.
yeah.
By playing light, I get. And then if I really nail it, I can get.
Huge.
to more of a metal world.
Yeah, it's amazing how expressive that is. Just, I mean, no picks, just fingers on the strings.
Yes, the fingers on the string, flesh on string gives me a softer tone. Like, and then if you play with a pick, as you know, and I play with picks now, and you get more of a. So you get that nice little attack. Which,
Yeah.
I keep them in the box in case I need them.
Just in case. Would you mind plugging in your Les Paul and we can
Yeah,
kind of hear the taste test?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so this is your 53.
Yeah, it's a 53 gold top. Looks like that back pickup's sunken in a little now. I have to look at that.
So what all have you done to it?
We dropped a Tune-o-matic in it, so that's more like a 56.
Sure.
It's a hard thing to do on these early Les Pauls because there's very little room to play with. So I don't know if you can see on the camera, but the bridge is all the way down
Right
to its
down
possible lowest setting, and we just got away with it. And then this is a classic Bigsby, and it's screwed right into the body. You can get Bigsbys now that where you don't have to damage your guitar, as I did here.
Yeah.
So it's a priceless instrument. Better not to put screws in it. That's kind of it. There's just a little humbucker pickup. It's a Firebird pickup.
Oh, so you took that out of a Firebird?
I scoffed it out of one of my early 60s Firebirds. And that's the stock P90. Otherwise, the guitar is stock, and I just use the original keys. I put on these Gretsch knobs because I like the look of them.
They look great.
And you'll see that the back pickup, you'll hear that the front pickup is very creamy sounding, so you get. And then if you go to the back pickup. And then back to the front. Broad the range is from pickup to pickup.
So expressive. Well, that's great, and it's hard to believe. So you're switching between these two wildly different instruments into the same rig.
Yeah, same rig. And I just play one guitar for a whole show.
Wow, that's great.
If I can, you know.
Are you touring with a backup as well, or?
No, I don't tour with a backup. If I break a string, I go to the steel.
You're an optimist.
And then Seth, who's standing behind us there, frantically and kindly switches the string. But I should tell you about this echo. It's 500 millisecond now, which gives it, so you can do a triplet.
Yeah.
You brought up, Emmylou Harris, Wrecking Ball record. And
Yeah.
I played a lot of triplet echo on that record, which is. Exaggerate it a little bit so you can hear. So that's essentially, that's the basis of Edge's sound in U2, you know, his early
Totally.
triplet echo sound, which after I worked with them in the early 80s, you know, I really liked that triplet sound, so I adapted it to my own rig.
And this rig actually predates like a tap tempo, so you just dial it by ear?
Yeah, that's it. You just set it by ear.
I see back here you've got like Waterfall and Sweet Old World.
Yeah,
Those are both from the Emmylou Harris record,
yeah,
right?
we just did a tour, a tour with Emmylou, a Wrecking Ball tour.
Oh, yeah.
So these are all the settings here, funny enough.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, where will I be? The very first song on that album.
Waterfall had a whole other octave effect.
Yeah.
You know, kind of a low octave, high octave effect, and I don't have that box with me. It's more of a studio box. It's you know, it's one of those Eventide harmonizers.
Now, do you have to adjust your playing a lot between, because you work in the studio a lot, and then when you're playing live, do you approach it differently, or?
It always seems easier live. I got to be honest with you. You know, we turn up in these rooms, like this beautiful room here, and because I'm far away from studio-itis, I can just feel a little freer, you know. So
Yeah. Beautiful.
And I fingerpick through even a lot of Emmy's record was done with fingerpicking. I only miss you every now and again. So I combine finger picking with standard strumming, but I don't play with a flat pick. If I strum with the thumb like that.
Sure.
Then I'll switch to finger picking. When she sings, I'll play like this. Then she stops singing. She sings. So you quieten down while she sings, and you can open up in the in-between parts. It's kind of a Johnny Cash technique. You'll notice if you watch old Johnny Cash films, when he sings, he strums up the neck.
Yeah, it's more of a percussive.
Because it brings his volume down about 30-40%. It's like a what's the Johnny Cash song?
Like I don't know, like Big River or you know, I mean.
So he would be see, it gets quieter here.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's
it's
interesting.
the variation on that idea of dynamics. You know?
On your steel, you're really using the volume pedal, your more lead volume pedal for dynamics, but like on guitar, it seems like you're doing it all with your hands.
All with the hands,
I
yeah.
don't think you're touching your volume knobs, are you?
No, it's all done with the hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, and it's not hard to do. You know, like I can play. So I can choose to highlight the melody or pull it back a little bit considerably. Sure. So it's Yeah, it's pretty much down to the fingers.
It's really kind of amazing that, I mean, this is such a simple rig. It's, you know, basically guitar plugged into a delay and then a dry amp and a wet amp, and
that's kind of it.
Yeah. So you're touring just with a bass player and a drummer on this tour, correct?
That's right. It's a trio. Brian Blade on the drums and Jim Wilson on the bass. And this is my electronic rig. What's happened here is we've prepared, myself and Alex over there, we've prepared some 8-tracks for the road. And they are, might say, the bedrock of these more electro numbers. And but then there's room to improvise on top of them. So it's quite a fascinating journey. And I've prepared some echoes. I'll let you hear them.
Yeah.
And
so what's the basic rig? You have just
it's an 8-track from a Pro Tools little player.
Okay.
And then it's just a Mackie mixer. And I use a TC Electronics echo machine, and I have a little sampler here. And,
so you're playing some tracks, but you're affecting them in real time.
That's right.
As
yeah.
you go. Okay.
And I'll let you hear some of that right now. Can you press play there, Wayne? This is Wayne Lorenz, who works with me.
Hey, Wayne.
Alex Crispin over there.
Alex.
So what you're hearing here is a preamble to this number,
Okay.
and this is a little bit of a transitional sound that I use that leads up to the song, so
Sure.
we don't have a dead spot between
Yeah, like
tracks.
a segue, like a live.
Yeah, so
segue.
it's a little sample, and then I can sample on top of it, which is what you're going to hear back here. You hear that lower tone back here is my sampling amplifier.
Cool.
I'll bring them down a little bit. And then you'll hear that the track's going to start here in a minute. Now I'll add an echo to what is an 808 recorded on the 8-track, which goes like this.
Oh yeah.
And I can bring in a fuzz bass. Then I can bring in the Brian Blaze drums. Then I have some vocal effects on here that go like this. And then I have these melodic sounds that are quite deep, like this.
That's great. So you're playing the tracks and affecting it in real time.
Yes.
And then when you're playing the tracks, do you work that, or do you jump over and play guitar with it, or?
Let's cue up You Are Wonder, please. I'll give you an example of one that I go to the steel to, which is kind of interesting. gives you a rough idea.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Played a few blue notes by mistake there at the beginning, but it got good.
Yeah, it got great. Well, Daniel, that was really inspiring, man, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I hope that tells you a little bit about some dimension of my sound. You know, it gets deeper. You know, when we get into electric mandolins and dulcimers. You know, when I work with Emmylou, she had some nice dulcimers at her house, and we brought those in the studio, and I really enjoyed working with those, with the piano and the 12-string mandolin, and so it's all part of building a sound for a specific record, you know, that gives you a little bit of an example there. So.
Yeah, well, you're such a wildly creative guy and such an amazing musician, and really it's just an honor to meet you, and
brother.
Congratulations, thanks so much.
Yeah, man, thank you for coming out here. And it was a little bit of a rush job because these guys are trying to get their work done.
Well, I know, you got a sound check.
But I think Alex is secretly hoping to get into the movies, so he's been getting into the shot a lot.
Right there, Alex,
Yeah,
there's a shout out.
It's all about puckering the lips. Right?
It's about that.
Yes. French movies.
Yeah.
Go to Europe. Well,
this is John Bollinger with Premier Guitar. Peace out.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Don't forget to sign up for PG Perks, your all-access pass to exclusive gear giveaways and discounts on PremierGuitar.com.